one person, that's a great use for that sharing functionality. Using it as the system of record for an enterprise document is probably not the best idea, and I would say that you would want to put it into Microsoft Team SharePoint repository, or a an older classic style SharePoint Online document repository, or on an intranet, or used by thousands of people in the organization. As an example, when we have our weekly cadence meetings with different people in the Microsoft organization, if they have a new deck that they want to share with partners, a lot of time that they put together, and they've maybe been kind of working on it themselves, they'll share it out to us externally as to a Bennett Adelson consultant here and there, or if they have like a technical white paper that they would like us to look at. So we communicate with them like that, that they're sharing out maybe to multiple people when they're talking to them, but it's really instead of emailing around, they use, and we use, the single sign-on and identity capability in Office 365 and M365 to go ahead and log into their environment and pull down the document. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on email. We know what that is really for. It's individual, group. I mean, we use it for everything, right? And I think part of what Microsoft's trying to do here is hone in and really add value to the different features in M365 to make, use the right tool for the right job instead of everything going into email. Now, in terms of the urgent communication on the left-hand side up here, we have Skype for Business and then Microsoft Teams. Now, when I talk about Skype for Business and Microsoft Teams, the features of Skype for Business are in Microsoft Teams. There are some telephony features like dialing out and that are in Skype for Business that are getting rolled out, if not rolled out yet in Microsoft Teams. But there was a while where there was a little bit of a difference between the feature sets because of the dialing out to a cell phone or something. But in terms of hosting a meeting and letting people dial into the meeting and having a tool set where you can chat back and forth, that's available in Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft themselves, in terms of their enterprise product group and their sales division, they have switched over to Microsoft Teams exclusively. So when we communicate with them and have our meetings, we're always doing it through Microsoft Teams. Now, in your environment, you can have a hybrid environment between Skype for Business and Teams, and just use the collaboration features of Microsoft Teams until you're ready to switch the tenant over to use Microsoft Teams exclusively. So Skype for Business can still be there. Okay, so anyway, it's great for both of the products. Are great for the IM and the one-to-one chat. Now I kind of morphed into this middle section here for team business meetings. I think I touched on that. Microsoft Teams, in terms of collaboration, is sitting in the middle. So the sharing of documents, the persistent chat, and I'll show that in a second. Now, SharePoint Online doesn't go away. Microsoft Teams is built on it. Microsoft Teams is built on many things, and one of them is SharePoint Online. So by default, you get a SharePoint site collection created for the Microsoft team that you instantiate. And in it, that's where you host your files, okay? So you can see it in SharePoint Online. SharePoint Online doesn't go away for your intranet, for line of business solutions that are that have Microsoft Flows involved, that have Power Apps involved. they can integrate into Microsoft Teams too, but document records management, a lot of that makes sense just as a SharePoint Online kind of interface, okay? As opposed to, and you can attach it into your team so you have a quick hyperlink tab to it, but building on SharePoint Online is still there. It doesn't go away. It's a great application platform for line of business solutions. Now, when you talk about, let's see, organization level communication, all right, 3 different products should be highlighted here. So the first is Office 365 Video, all right? So that is the technology that is available. It's like a YouTube for the enterprise, all right? And interestingly, when you record a team meeting, we're not just having meetings like this webinar type where everybody's kind of in as voice. We're now seeing that, especially with collaboration that takes place across the country with different customers. We're turning we're buying the devices that integrate into Microsoft Teams, and we have this virtual experience where the cameras are on, okay? And so the video is being recorded and the meetings are being recorded, and when you record a meeting in Microsoft Teams, it will automatically place it in Office 365 Video, which is pretty cool. It's also the repository where you can create and training content videos and place it up there for the organization to see. Yammer is still there. It's an enterprise tool where it's like a message forum. It's like Facebook walls, okay? And it has all that enterprise social media feature set available to it. Skype Meeting Broadcast is the technology you use if you have 10,000 users that need to be on one of these webinars. There's going to be an upper limit to the number of people that can attend just a Skype for Business or Microsoft Team meeting itself. When you want to get into the thousands of users to have a town hall meeting, you want to go to Skype Meeting Broadcast to do that. All right. Let me bring the next slide up here. Okay, so this is a real quick screenshot of Microsoft Teams, and just kind of drilling into the features that are available again here. You see the interface right here on the right-hand side. You have live chat, you have a persistent conversation, and that's what's shown here on the right-hand side. Okay, so the idea is that when instead of having emails flying back and forth discussing an issue or something that the team is working on, and you have to go searching in Outlook to refer to it, this persistent chat is there where you can scroll through it and see the decisions, the conversation, and the way you arrived, or the problem, statement, and the way you arrived at the conclusion. You can see it all in this conversation thread. All right, people can reply, everything you expect in a social media type of platform. The content is searchable across all the chats and the files. The conversations. Okay, this is a conversation that's in a Microsoft team. This is Northwind Traders, the development channel. You can see multiple channels here that contain or that are specific to a sub-department or group within Northwind Traders, all right, the Northwind Traders team. Each one of these has their own conversation boards. Each one of these has their own file repository, their own wiki, etc. The idea is that you can chat with the team here, or you can click up on the chat section here. Let me see if I can bring that up real quick. If we're in chat, and you can have a private conversation with anybody in the organization. So this is where you get your one-on-one. So you can see I'm in Teams here, and I'm in a conversation for Sales General, or let's see what's in Monthly Report. So this is a Monthly Report channel of the sales team, and people are talking right here. And then I go over to chat, and I want to chat with this person, with Diego, and I can go ahead and start having a conversation, just a one-on-one conversation with them. So the Skype for Business IM, this is showing it. All right. Okay, so again, you can schedule or have video meetings in here, and you're integrating with email, SharePoint, Office 365. So each one of the teams gets an email address automatically, so you can email in to this team if you would like to. Finally, bots can be programmed. Customers are starting to use the Azure bot framework to go ahead and create this AI that can respond to natural language queries as if they were chatting with a real person. So as an example, for one of our customers, we've written a bot that can go ahead and read an FAQ with the Q&A maker in Azure, and we integrated into SharePoint Online and into Teams to be able to answer questions from people who want to know how to join a meeting or schedule a Teams meeting, that sort of thing. So that's pretty interesting. All right. SharePoint Online, I'm going to go by this quickly. It has a new modern interface you can see on the right-hand side here. It has many new user controls that have been rolled out in SharePoint Online and has a great mobile experience. The integration here with Microsoft Teams and SharePoint is extremely tight because Teams is built on top of it, and it really has a nice, flexible, fully mobile UI. Communication sites are the way that you build an intranet now. It's a set of web parts and publishing pages and search features that help you create your intranet site. So, before the SharePointers on this call know that there were certain ways to compose an intranet site, first on premises, then in the cloud, and now this is the next revision. These communication sites are the next revision to help you quickly get a communication site up and branded and nice to look at. All right, so here are some business problems and solutions that we've heard, and then we map to features in SharePoint Online specifically. When we talk about the business problems and how you can get quick wins with the technology, things like can't find the latest version of a document, or we don't track changes to see who changed it, which one is the latest, repeating the work because the real-time collaboration is not refined, or tracking workflows in spreadsheets instead of documents. All those can still be done with the SharePoint document library features. Checklists are in Word documents or spreadsheets. SharePoint Online list features are easy wins right there. No standard process for collaboration with external vendors, or have to copy documents in email, and again, not knowing which one's the latest. SharePoint extranet sites in Office 365 really give a great solution to that. You can, with extranet sites in SharePoint Online, you you have a lot of tools now to lock down who can get in. You can create white lists of customers, or lists that you restrict domains from your competitor domains that somebody can't share out to this competitor. You have the ability to set Azure AD up in such a way that a user's identity has to be pre-approved, let's say, through some sort of provisioning or help desk process to be approved to be shared to externally. But it's, the interface for a new user coming in, for integration, if that user identity is already in Office 365, and for just enabling the day-to-day security and working with that external user is excellent with regards to Office 365, SharePoint Online, and Microsoft Teams. All right. Document metadata and approval for documents emailed from one person to another. Those are Microsoft flows now. Automated workflows can be built in Office 365 to do that. And then manage search properties and search facets. So a lot of people still overlook the idea that you can use SharePoint Online Search to build really specific, rich, search-driven line of business solutions, especially if you have hundreds of thousands of documents that are in play, tracking a lot of documents and really needing to drill in quickly. Sometimes this is overlooked. People say, "Oh, search doesn't work." You gotta architect a solution, but it's way faster than trying to build it yourself. All right. So OneDrive for Business. Again, we talked about this. This is the personal enterprise repository that every user would get to quickly organize and find your documents fast, and to access this information from all your devices. Okay, so then the next idea here is, where do we start? So I've had multiple conversations with different customers over the past year or two here to say, with all this stuff and all these puzzle pieces, where do we start with collaboration? So my response is, start with OneDrive for Business. Okay, replace your user shared drives with OneDrive for Business. Now, the things you have to keep in mind would be, or the decisions you have to make: new content only or migration of existing content. I've had customers do both. Okay, it depends on how large the organization is and how much data that is on the shared drives that the organization believes is maybe not necessary. You would migrate on-premises SharePoint MySite content to OneDrive for Business. That's a decision. Do we, has SharePoint MySites really taken off in your organization? And if so, do you want to promote that forward? You have to make a decision on, do you want to let users share externally from OneDrive or not? Again, Microsoft allows it. Bennett Adelson, we don't. We don't allow the external sharing. We allow external customers and partners to come into specific site collections in SharePoint Online that have been deemed, locked down enough for use that way. Another decision to make is, do we deploy the OneDrive for Business sync client to the user desktops or not? So the sync client has been improved tremendously since even a year ago. It is now the common tool for which synchronization from SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business both come down, use the same technology, have the same type of interface. The added benefit to the new synchronization client is that it will show you the information that is up in the cloud, but will only pull it down to your hard disk if a user clicks it and accesses the file. All right, so they can see all of the attributes and the names of the files up in the cloud, but it doesn't actually consume the device disk space until it's pulled down. So that decision on whether to deploy the sync client, I think, got easier. At one point in the sync client's life, everything was pulled down if you did a sync. Okay, so now, so then you had to worry about, okay, do my client devices have enough room for it, for that pull? But now, because it just shows you the information, that it's there, but it doesn't actually pull the file down until you need it. That's a great improvement. In terms of change management now with OneDrive for Business, some things that we recommend that you communicate. So you would tell the users, all right, we're going to use OneDrive for Business instead of the user shared drives. And to that end, we're going to make the user shared drives read-only. All right, so you have to a certain date that these drives are going to be there, but read-only, so you're not allowed to save back to them. So you have to make a transition, okay, to OneDrive for Business. Then after another period of read-only mode, you take the shared drives away, all right? And then the customers who still haven't, or the associates who still haven't gotten their act together to move to OneDrive for Business will probably scream, and then you deal with those help desk tickets, and you have to kind of show them, point them to the information on how to go ahead and use OneDrive for Business. So that goes to the next part here, where we recommend that you really put up some instructions and training on how to use OneDrive for Business web client and the synchronization client. And this is, this doesn't need to be fully produced content, although that is extremely helpful. But it's a roadmap for the users specifically in your environment to get all the way through. So you don't really want to point them to Microsoft's documentation to here, go read everything. You want to say, hey, I used to do this. I used to use the shared drives in this way, maybe with a few screenshots. Now I want you to go ahead and do it that way. All right, and here's the other screenshots. And then for reference, you can go ahead and link them out to any help documentation or videos that are out there. Okay. So Microsoft Teams. What is the fastest way to engage with Microsoft Teams? And the answer is in project collaboration mode. All right. So the decisions there around it. So you're saying, all right, like instead of using SharePoint, classic SharePoint team sites, we're going to do project collaboration. We're going to go ahead and create a Microsoft Teams for those projects. All right. As an added feature, you can turn on or add a Microsoft Planner plan to the team so that you can track tasks. All right. And that plan, the Microsoft Planner is a tool that sits between Excel and Project Server. It's like a middle ground tool. We found that customers really take to that and then drive forward with it, okay? Because they can assign tasks, create tasks, they can see visually their tasks, and they can assign tasks to people. Okay, so decisions. Let users create teams in a self-service way. So by default, any user can create a team. You have to decide if that's what you want to do in the organization. You would want to, I think, you want to let the Teams client be deployed to user desktops, although there is a web client too. And then you have to consider, in terms of data storage, when you delete a team, the site collection that the data was stored in goes away. So if you have regulatory requirements for keeping the data, the documents that were generated by the team, you're going to want to figure out how to go ahead and move those over into a longer-term store like SharePoint Online. All right, so when we create a team here at BA, we go ahead and create a repository in SharePoint Online and just create a tab to it. We create a new tab if we look here like this, and we can link off to a SharePoint site over here or a document library. All right, so we just kind of point to it over in the in our SharePoint site collections that persist. All right. In terms of change management here, some of the ideas here are communicate how and why to use Teams, where it fits in, show the end users that map, all right, to use, of why we're doing it and how we're going to do it. Tell them how to create how the teams will be created, how to invite other users, how to actually create a Microsoft Planner plan and add users to it, show them how the persistent chat works, and talk to them about how the file sharing works. And that file sharing is, if they're used to SharePoint Online, it's going to be the same type of thing. In terms of SPO, we talked about how these few things I've listed here are still great for SharePoint Online: document management, document archive, intranet, and line of business solutions. And then these search solutions are also a type of line of business solution. I think these are still perfect for SharePoint Online. With SPO, this is like the third major thing in terms of collaboration tools that we've covered today, and the three outstanding things that you always do with SharePoint Online is planning, remediation, and security. And because there is more work to go into the SharePoint Online story, it comes in my recommendation, third, right? You can get up to speed with OneDrive for Business and Teams much more quickly. All right, so that was it for the meat of the presentation here. Brian Connolly had some questions that came up.
Jason, this is Tim May. One thing I think would be worth mentioning and talking about a little bit is the whole concept of adoption.
Yep. Okay. So in terms of adoption plans, we touched on it with the change management approach. What we found is that to implement the change management, you really need to look at a holistic adoption plan. That would include the communications that are to go out to your organization, who sends them, the context, and the time distribution, the scheduled distribution of when they go out. Like the OneDrive example, we had 3 months out, we're going to make the announcement. A month out, we're going to say, hey, your drives are going read-only, and then they went read-only, and then they're going to be taken away 3 months from now, okay? And then the training piece. So when you communicate out what's going to happen to the user, you also have the training pieces of information to show them the happy path through the tool set that you then set up on your own intranet that has language that is customized to your organization. Again, not just the packaged tools that are available out there or the free information that is out there on Microsoft documentation sites, but a tailored message to the users on how to how to perform their business activity differently with this new tool set. If you do that, that's where that adoption comes in, all right? Because you'll get a large percentage of your crowd understanding and engaging at that point.
Hey Jason, this is Brian Conley. Hey, one of the things that a lot of my customers are asking me, with all these different tool sets and all the different offerings, how do they go about governance? Where do they start? What's a best practice with all these different tool sets?
Well, it's hard to answer the best practice. Right? It's detailed plans for all these the different tools. The thing that you really want to start with is your identity and your device plan. Okay, and that is you obviously have to move your identities up in the cloud, and then you have to turn on things like multi-factor authentication. You have to enable situations where you have trusted devices, and you have the ability to say, all right, devices can, only trusted devices maybe can access your environment. After that, you sit down with each of these tools, you define the way that you want your customers or your associates to work with them, okay? And then with the security team, you go through, understand the all of the switches that are available and the defaults available for each one of these technologies, and start making decisions and writing them down. So when we engage and do the governance work at BA, we start with, we bring up a Word document with the defaults, and we walk the customers through so they know how the tool works and how Microsoft has positioned it and some of their thinking behind it. A lot of, the default position from Microsoft for these tools is we want search really as an integral part of the user experience, and a lot of the tools are built on it. We want to, or we design the tools so that a lot of the information that people put in, we assume, will be public, read-only to most of the organization. And then we work with customers to figure out, okay, what has to be absolutely locked down, and that's, that's put off to the side in their own secure environment. But we try to say, open, is there enough, security requirements around not being open that we have to start, taking the defaults off. But again, it's every tool we go through and we educate the customer, we give our recommendations, and we help be in the decision-making process and then document everything.
Thanks, Jason. That was helpful. Just a quick summation of the session, and appreciate all your insight and what you've offered, Jason, and hopefully everybody will find it helpful. One thing that's obvious as we go through this, I guess in summary, is that there's a tremendous amount of functionality available through these tools, and which makes it a little bit complex sometimes to try to weave your way through it and implement them in the most effective way. So as we talked about, there are many decisions that have to be made organizationally in terms of workflow, and we talked about governance, and those are just a couple of issues and decision points. And the important thing, and what we find is always helpful, is finding the right roadmap for your organization. That roadmap exists. It just takes some experience and knowledge and breadth of knowledge with the tool set to be able to help define that roadmap. And there are opportunities for quick wins within the business. So despite what may sound or look a little bit complex on the surface, there are ways to start to create and build on quick wins within the business so that you could start to drive value with the M365 tool set. And as we talked a little bit about adoption at the end there, but it isn't automatic. So enabling the tools and putting them out there is one challenge. The other challenge is to make them sticky and to make them actually an integral part of each person's or each user's workday. And that's another area that oftentimes we see clients struggle with that. So we have, at Bennett Adelson, we have developed a good practice around trying to help clients work their way through the roadmap so that you can drive the utmost value out of your investment. And that not only includes laying out the solution, but also making sure that that solution is adopted. So if at the end of the day, that's what we are certainly prepared to do and able to assist with. And we hope this session has been helpful. The last page that Jason put up there has a list of contacts, including Jason's information as well as mine. And some of you are familiar with Brian and Marty, who happen to assist you in helping bring Bennett Adelson resources to you when you need them. And we're happy to answer any of the 5 or 4 of us. Happy to answer any questions. Feel free to call or email us. And we appreciate your time and participation today. Thank you very much.